3 weeks ago, I was a bride-to-be planning the wedding of my dreams. Today, I'm sitting here telling you about the most devastating and eye-opening experience of my life. My wedding didn't just get canceled. It exposed secrets that tore my family apart and revealed a truth about my mother that I never saw coming. If you're here because you want to know what could possibly be more shocking than a canceled wedding, buckle up, because this story will leave you speechless. Before we begin the story, comment below where you're watching from. Enjoy the story. Please subscribe to my channel for more sweet videos like this. Let the story continue. The phone fell from my shaking hands and crashed onto the hospital floor. The sound echoed through the empty hallway like a gunshot. My mom's doctor stood in front of me, his face pale and serious. He had just told me something that made my whole world spin upside down. "I'm sorry, Sarah," he said softly. "Your mother doesn't have much time left. Maybe a few hours." But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was what my mom had whispered to me just 5 minutes before. Her weak voice had trembled as she grabbed my hand with surprising strength. "Sarah, honey," she had said, her eyes wide with fear. "I need to tell you something about your wedding. About Jake. I did something terrible." My heart pounded so hard I could hear in my ears. "What do you mean, Mom?" "I'm the reason your wedding was canceled," she whispered. "I'm the one who told Jake about the secret. The secret. The one thing I had never told anyone. The one thing that could destroy everything." My legs felt like jelly. I stumbled backward, my mind racing. 3 days ago, I had been getting ready for the happiest day of my life. I had my beautiful white dress hanging in my closet. I had flowers picked out. I had a cake ordered. I had dreams of walking down the aisle to marry the man I loved more than anything in the world. And then Jake had called me at 6 a.m. that morning, his voice cold and angry. "The wedding is off, Sarah," he had said. "I know what you did. I know your secret. We're done." I had begged him to tell me what he meant. I had cried and pleaded for him to explain. But he had hung up on me. When I went to his apartment, he was gone. When I called his friends, they said they didn't know where he was. For 3 days, I had felt like I was drowning. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what secret he could have found out. There were so many things I had never told him, but only one that would make him leave me completely. And now my mom was telling me that she was the one who had ruined everything. My own mother had destroyed my happiness. But why? Why would she do this to me? I stared at her lying in the hospital bed, so small and fragile. The machines around her beeped steadily. Her breathing was shallow and weak. The doctors had said she'd been in an accident, but now I wondered if there was more to the story. "Mom," I whispered, leaning closer to her. "Why did you tell him? Why would you do that to me?" Her eyes filled with tears. "Because," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "because I found out something about Jake. Something that would have hurt you even more if you had married him." My blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" "He's been lying to you, Sarah. About everything. About who he really is. About why he wanted to marry you." She took a shaky breath. "I had to protect you, even if it meant." Suddenly, the machines around her bed started beeping faster and louder. Red lights flashed. Her eyes rolled back, and her body went limp. "Mom!" I screamed. Doctors and nurses rushed into the room. They pushed me aside as they worked on her. I stood there, frozen, watching them try to save the woman who had just confessed to ruining my life. But there was something else. Something in her eyes before she collapsed. Something that told me the story was much bigger than I thought. Because if my mom had found out something terrible about Jake, then maybe my wedding being canceled wasn't the worst thing that could have happened to me. Maybe it had saved me from something much worse. But what secret could Jake have? And what had my mom done to find out about it? The doctors worked frantically, but I could see in their faces that they were losing her. My mom was dying, and she was taking the truth with her. Unless I could find Jake myself. Unless I could confront him and force him to tell me what really happened. I looked at my mom one more time, then turned and ran out of hospital. I had to find Jake. I had to get answers. And I had to find out what secret was so terrible that it had destroyed everything I cared about. But I had no idea that confronting Jake would lead me to discover something about my mom that would change everything I thought I knew about my life. I drove through the rain like a crazy person, my windshield wipers squeaking against the glass. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles were white. I had to find Jake. I had to know the truth. The first place I went was his apartment. I banged on the door until my fists hurt, but no one answered. The neighbors looked at me like I was losing my mind. Maybe I was. "Jake!" I shouted through the door. "I know you're in there. We need to talk." Nothing. Just silence. I tried his job next. The big office building downtown, where he worked as a computer programmer. The security guard at the front desk knew me because I had visited Jake there so many times. "Hi, Sarah," he said with a sad smile. "I heard about the wedding." "I'm sorry." My cheeks burned with embarrassment. Of course everyone knew. Jake had probably told everyone at work that our wedding was canceled. "Is Jake here?" I asked. The guard shook his head. "He didn't come in today, or yesterday, or the day before. His boss is pretty mad about it." This was strange. Jake never missed work. He was the kind of person who would go to the office even if he was sick. He loved his job and always talked about how important it was to be reliable. Did he say anything to anyone before he left? I asked. "Well," the guard looked around, then leaned closer. "I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I overheard him talking to his friend Marcus on Monday." Jake sounded really upset. He kept saying something about finding out the truth and everything being a lie. He was pacing around the lobby like he was scared of something. My heart started beating faster. Scared? What would Jake be scared of? I don't know, but he kept looking over his shoulder, like he thought someone was following him. I thanked the guard and left, my mind spinning. Jake was scared of something. But what? And why had he been talking about lies and truth? I tried calling his best friend Marcus, but he didn't answer. I tried his sister, but she hung up on me as soon as she heard my voice. I tried his parents, but they said they hadn't heard from him in days and were worried too. As I drove around the city looking for any sign of Jake, I kept thinking about what my mom had said. She had found out something about Jake, something that made her tell him my secret to protect me. But what secret could be so bad that my mom would hurt me to save me? I thought about all the secrets I had. The time I cheated on a test in high school. The time I lied about my age to get into a club. The time I accidentally broke my neighbor's window and never told anyone. But those were all small things. Embarrassing, but not life-destroying. Then I thought about the big secret. The one that kept me awake at night sometimes. The one I had never told anyone, not even my best friend. When I was 19, I had been in a car accident. I was driving and it was raining and I hit another car. The other driver was hurt badly. I was so scared that I drove away without helping him. I found out later that the man was okay, but I never told anyone that I was the one who hit him. I had nightmares about it for years. I was terrified that someone would find out and I would go to jail. Was that the secret my mom had told Jake? But how could she have known? I had never told her. Unless she had found out somehow. Maybe she had seen something. Maybe she had figured it out. But even if that was a secret, why would it make Jake leave me? He loved me. He had said so 1,000 times. He had proposed to me on one knee in the park, where we had our first date. He had cried when I said yes. Would he really leave me over a mistake I made when I was young and scared? I was so lost in my thoughts that I almost missed it. As I drove past the old coffee shop where Jake and I used to go on our first dates, I saw a familiar figure sitting by the window. It was Jake. My heart jumped into my throat. I pulled over quickly, not caring that I was parked in a no parking zone. I sat in my car for a moment, staring at him through the window. He looked terrible. His hair was messy, and he hadn't shaved in days. He was wearing the same clothes he had been wearing the last time I saw him. He stared down at his coffee cup like it held the answers to all his problems. I took a deep breath and got out of the car. This was it. This was my chance to find out what had really happened. I walked into the coffee shop, my legs shaking. The bell above the door rang, and Jake looked up. When he saw me, his face went white. Sarah, he whispered, what are you doing here? Looking for you, I said, sitting down across from him. We need to talk. He shook his head. There's nothing to talk about. I told you we're done. No, we're not done until you tell me what's really going on. I leaned forward. My mom is dying, Jake. She's in the hospital right now, and she told me something that I need to understand. Jake's eyes widened. Your mom is dying? She told me that she's the one who told you my secret. She said she did it to protect me from you. I watched his face carefully. What did she mean by that? Jake's hand started shaking. He put his coffee cup down and looked away from me. Jake, I said firmly, tell me the truth. What secret did she tell you, and why did it make you leave me? He was quiet for a long moment. Then he looked at me with eyes full of pain. It wasn't about your secret, Sarah, he said quietly. It was about mine. My breath caught in my throat. What do you mean? Your mom, she found out something about me. Something I never told you. Something that would have destroyed you if you had found out after we were married. I felt like the world was spinning around me. What are you talking about? Jake rubbed his face with his hands. Sarah, I'm not who you think I am. What does that mean? He looked at me, and I saw something in his eyes that scared me. Something that looked like guilt and fear and sadness all mixed together. My real name isn't Jake Thompson, he said slowly. It's Jake Morrison. And 3 years ago, I was in prison. The words hit me like a punch to the stomach. What? I was convicted of robbery. I spent 2 years in jail, and when I got out, I changed my name and moved here to start over. He looked down at his hands. I never told you because I was scared you would leave me. I stared at him, my mind trying to process what he was saying. You lied to me about who you are? I was going to tell you after we got married. I swear I was. But then your mom found out somehow, and she confronted me. She said she would tell you everything if I didn't leave you alone. She threatened you? She said you deserved better than a criminal. She said I was poison, and if I really loved you, I would leave you and never come back. I felt like I was going to be sick. So you just left? Without even talking to me? I thought she was right, Sarah. I thought you would be better off without me. Tears started running down his face. So, I made up the story about your secret to make you think I was leaving you for a good reason. I didn't want you to blame yourself. I sat there in shock, trying to understand what was happening. My mom had discovered that Jake was an ex-con, and instead of telling me, she had forced him to leave me. She had made him lie to me about why he was leaving. What were you in prison for? I asked. I robbed a store when I was desperate for money. I was young and stupid, and I made a terrible mistake. He looked at me with pleading eyes. But I'm not that person anymore, Sarah. I changed. I got my life together. I got a good job. I became someone you could be proud of. But you still lied to me. I know, and I'm sorry. I was going to tell you the truth, but I was scared. I felt angry and confused and heartbroken all at the same time. My mom had destroyed my wedding to protect me from marrying a man with a criminal past, but she had done it by making him lie to me and break my heart. Why didn't you just tell me the truth? I asked, why didn't you let me decide for myself? Because your mom was right. You do deserve better than me. That's not your choice to make. I said, louder than I meant to. Other people in the coffee shop looked at us. I loved you, Jake. I would have worked through this with you. But instead, you both lied to me and treated me like I was too weak to handle the truth. Jake reached across the table and tried to take my hand, but I pulled away. Sarah, please. I love you. I know I messed up, but I love you more than anything. If you loved me, you would have trusted me with the truth. I was scared, he whispered. I was scared of losing you. And now you have lost me. I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. Because of the lies. Not because of your past, but because you didn't trust me enough to tell me the truth. I started walking toward the door, but Jake called after me. Sarah, wait. There's something else. Something about your mom that you need to know. I stopped and turned around. What? The reason she found out about my past, it wasn't by accident. She hired a private investigator to dig into my background. She's been investigating me for months. I felt like someone had poured ice water into my veins. What are you talking about? She never trusted me. From the very beginning. She thought I was hiding something. So she paid someone to find out everything about me. Jake's voice was shaking. But Sarah, the investigator, found out more than just my criminal record. He found out something about your mom, too. Something that she's been hiding from you your whole life. The room started spinning around me. What do you mean? Meet me tomorrow at the park where I proposed to you. Noon. I'll bring the investigator's report. Jake's eyes were wide with fear. Sarah, I think your mom's accident. I don't think it was an accident at all. Before I could ask what he meant, he stood up and walked quickly out of the coffee shop, leaving me standing there with my mouth open and my heart pounding. What had my mom been hiding? And what did Jake mean about her accident not being an accident? I ran outside, but Jake was already driving away. I stood on the sidewalk in the rain, feeling like my whole world was falling apart piece by piece. My mom was dying in the hospital. My wedding was canceled. My fiancé was an ex-con who had been lying to me for years. And now I was finding out that my mom had been lying to me too. But the worst part was what Jake had said about her accident. If it wasn't really an accident, then what was it? And why did I have the terrible feeling that tomorrow's meeting was going to change everything I thought I knew about my life? I didn't sleep at all that night. I sat in the chair next to my mom's hospital bed, watching her breathe through machines that were keeping her alive. The doctor said she was stable for now, but they couldn't promise how long she would last. Every few minutes, I would look at her peaceful face and wonder what secrets she had been keeping from me. My whole life, I had thought my mom was the most honest person in the world. She always told me to tell the truth, even when it was hard. She said that lies always hurt people more than the truth. But now I was finding out that she had been lying to me about so many things. At 6 a.m., I finally gave up trying to sleep and went to get coffee from the hospital cafeteria. The hallways were quiet except for the sound of my footsteps echoing off the walls. I felt like I was walking through a bad dream. When I came back to Mom's room, I found a surprise waiting for me. There was a woman sitting in the chair next to Mom's bed. She was about 50 years old, with short gray hair and kind eyes. She was holding Mom's hand and talking to her in a soft voice. "Excuse me," I said. "Who are you?" The woman looked up at me and smiled sadly. "You must be Sarah. I'm Detective Martinez. I've been working on your mother's case." My heart skipped a beat. "Case? What case?" "Your mother's accident. We've been investigating it because some things didn't add up." She stood up and faced me. "Can we talk outside?" I followed her into the hallway, my mind racing. "What do you mean things didn't add up?" Detective Martinez pulled out a small notebook. "Your mother's car went off the road and hit a tree 3 days ago, but there were no skid marks on the road. No sign that she tried to brake or turn away from the tree." "What does that mean?" "It means either she fell asleep at the wheel or she drove into that tree on purpose." I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. On purpose? You think my mom tried to kill herself? We're not sure yet, but we found some interesting things in her car. The detective flipped through her notebook. There was a manila envelope on the passenger seat. Inside were photos and documents about a man named Jake Morrison. I grabbed the wall to steady myself. "You found Jake's file? You know about it?" "Jake told me yesterday that my mom hired a private investigator to look into his background. He said she found out about his criminal record." Detective Martinez nodded. "That's part of it. But there was more in that envelope. Much more." She looked at me carefully. "Sarah, did you know that your mother used to be married to someone else before your father?" I stared at her. "What?" "No. My dad was her first husband. She told me that. According to the documents we found, your mother was married to a man named Robert Chun when she was 22. They divorced 2 years later, and she moved across the country to start over." My legs felt weak. "That's impossible. My mom would have told me if she had been married before." "There's more. Robert Chin was arrested for domestic violence 3 times during their marriage. The police reports describe serious injuries to your mother. broken ribs, black eyes, a broken arm. I leaned against the wall, trying to process what she was saying. My mom was abused. It appears so. And there's something else that's very important. Detective Martinez looked at her notebook again. Robert Chin was released from prison 6 months ago. He had been serving time for assault and battery. Why are you telling me this? Because 3 weeks ago, your mother received a letter from Robert Chun. He said he had found her and wanted to see her. He said he had changed and wanted to apologize for what he had done. I felt sick. Do you think he caused her accident? We're investigating that possibility. But there's something else that makes this case even more complicated. She flipped to another page in her notebook. The private investigator your mother hired didn't just investigate Jake Morrison. He also investigated Robert Chun. What did he find? That Robert Chin has been living under a false name for the past 10 years. His real name is Robert Morrison. It took me a moment to understand what she was saying. Then it hit me like a lightning bolt. Morrison, like Jake Morrison. That's right. Sarah, Jake Morrison is Robert Chin's son. The world went completely silent around me. I couldn't hear anything except the sound of my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. What? I whispered. Your fiancé is the son of a man who abused your mother 25 years ago. I slid down the wall and sat on the floor, my head spinning. That's impossible. Jake's father died when he was young. He told me that. Jake might not even know the truth. Robert Chin abandoned his family when Jake was 5 years old. Jake probably thinks his father is dead. But my mom knew. The investigator put it all together. He found birth records, marriage certificates, everything. Your mother hired him to investigate Jake, and he discovered that Jake was the son of the man who had terrorized her years ago. I put my head in my hands. Oh my God. No wonder she wanted to stop the wedding. Sarah, there's something else. Something that might be the most important part of this whole story. I looked up at her. What? The investigator found evidence that Robert Chin didn't just abuse your mother. He also abused Jake when Jake was a child. Severely. Tears started pouring down my face. Jake was abused by his father? According to Child Services records, Jake was hospitalized twice before he was 5 years old. Broken bones, burns, other injuries. That's probably why Jake became a criminal later in life. Children who are abused often make bad choices as they grow up. I thought about Jake sitting in the coffee shop, looking so broken and scared. I thought about how he had told me about his time in prison, how ashamed he had looked. So my mom found out that Jake was the son of her abuser, and she decided to stop our wedding to protect me. That's what it looks like. But Sarah, there's one more thing. The most important thing. What? Detective Martinez sat down on the floor next to me. Yesterday, we found Robert Chun. He's been living in a hotel about 20 miles from here. When we questioned him, he admitted that he'd been following your mother for weeks, trying to work up the courage to talk to her. He said he just wanted to apologize. But when we searched his hotel room, we found something disturbing. She paused. We found a detailed plan of your wedding. The church, the reception hall, the guest list, everything. My blood turned to ice. What kind of plan? We think Robert Chin was planning to show up at your wedding and confront your mother in front of everyone. Maybe hurt her. Maybe hurt you too. I couldn't breathe. He was going to attack us at my wedding? It's possible. But your mother's accident happened before he could carry out his plan. And Sarah, there's something else. Something that changes everything about why your mother might have driven into that tree. What do you mean? We found Robert Chin's phone records. He called your mother the morning of her accident. They talked for 15 minutes. I looked at Detective Martinez with horror. What did he say to her? We don't know yet. But whatever he said, it was enough to make your mother get in her car and drive straight into a tree. The detective stood up and helped me my feet. Sarah, I need you to be very careful. Robert Chin is still out there, and he's not happy that his plan was ruined. He blames your mother for destroying his life, and he might blame you too. What do? We're going to put you under police protection, and we need you to help us figure out what your mother and Robert Chin talked about in that phone call. How can I do that? We're hoping your mother will wake up and be able to tell us. But if she doesn't, the detective looked at me seriously. Sarah, you have a meeting with Jake Morrison today, right? At the park. Yes, at noon. I want you to go to that meeting, but I want you to wear a wire, and I want police officers nearby. Because if Robert Chin has been watching your mother, he might have been watching you too, and he might know about your meeting with Jake. You think he'll try to hurt us? I think a man who has been planning revenge for 25 years is capable of anything. And Sarah, there's one more thing you need to know. What? Jake Morrison doesn't know that his father is alive. He doesn't know that his father is the man who abused your mother. And he doesn't know that his father might be planning to hurt both of you. I felt like I was trapped in a nightmare that kept getting worse and worse. So when I meet Jake today, I have to tell him that his father is alive, that his father is a monster, and that his father might be trying to kill us. That's right. And Sarah, we need Jake's help to catch Robert Chin, because Jake is the only person who might be able to get close enough to his father to stop him. I looked through the window at my mom, lying so still and quiet in her hospital bed. She had been trying to protect me from Robert Chin's son, not knowing that she was also protecting me from Robert Chin himself. But now Robert Chin knew that his plan had been ruined. He knew that my mom had stopped my wedding, and he was angry. Detective Martinez, I said quietly, do you think my mom knew that Robert Chin was planning to hurt us at the wedding? I think your mother knew that Robert Chin was dangerous, and I think she would have done anything to protect you from him, even if it meant destroying your happiness. I looked at my mom again, and for the first time, I understood why she had done what she had done. She hadn't just been trying to stop me from marrying an ex-con. She had been trying to save my life. But now I had to go meet Jake and tell him that his father was alive and wanted to hurt us both. And I had to do it while wearing a wire and hoping that police officers could protect us if Robert Chin showed up. Detective Martinez, I said, what if Jake doesn't believe me? What if he thinks I'm making this up? Then we'll show him the evidence. But Sarah, there's something else you need to be prepared for. What? When Jake finds out the truth about his father, he's going to be devastated. He's going to feel guilty and ashamed, even though none of this is his fault. He might even blame himself for your mother's accident. I thought about how broken Jake had looked in the coffee shop. If he found out that his father was responsible for destroying our wedding and nearly killing my mom, it might destroy him completely. Will you help me tell him? I asked. Of course. But Sarah, you need to understand something. Even if we catch Robert Chin, even if we stop him from hurting anyone else, your life is never going to be the same. What do you mean? The secrets are out now. Your mother's past, Jake's past, his father's plans. Everything is going to change. Detective Martinez put her hand on my shoulder. Are you ready for that? I looked at my mom one more time, then took a deep breath. I have to be ready. Because if I don't face this now, Robert Chin is going to keep hurting people. And I can't let that happen. Good. Then let's go get you ready for the most important meeting of your life. As we walked down the hospital hallway, I couldn't help but wonder if Jake would even show up at the park. And if he did, would he still want to be with me after he found out that his father was a monster who had been haunting my family for 25 years? But there was something else I was wondering about. Something that scared me even more. What if Robert Chin was already at the park, waiting for us? I stood at the edge of the park, my heart beating so fast I thought it might explode. The small recording device was taped to my chest under my shirt, and I could feel it pressing against my skin like a cold reminder of how dangerous this meeting could be. Detective Martinez was somewhere nearby, hiding behind trees with other police officers. She had told me to act normal, to talk to Jake like nothing was wrong until she gave me the signal to tell him the truth. But how could I act normal when I was about to tell the man I loved that his father was alive and trying to kill us? I saw Jake walking toward me from across the park. He looked even worse than he had yesterday. His clothes were wrinkled, and his eyes were red like he hadn't slept either. He was carrying a brown envelope, the investigator's report he had promised to bring. Sarah, he said when he reached me. You came. Of course I came. I need to know the truth. We sat down on the bench where he had proposed to me 6 months ago. It felt like a lifetime ago. Back then, I had thought we were going to live happily ever after. Now I knew that happiness was built on lies and secrets. Before you show me that report, I said, I need to tell you something. Jake looked at me with worry in his eyes. What is it? My mom, she's going to be okay. The doctors think she's getting better. It was a lie. My mom was still unconscious and might never wake up. But I couldn't tell Jake the truth about her condition until I knew how he would react to everything else. I'm so glad, Jake said, and I could see the relief on his face. I was worried that I'd caused her accident somehow. When she confronted me about my past, she was so upset. She said I had been lying to her daughter and that I was going to destroy your life just like... He stopped talking and looked away. Just like what? She said I was going to destroy your life just like my father destroyed hers. I felt like someone had poured ice water into my veins. She said that. I didn't understand what she meant. I told her my father was dead, but she just looked at me with this strange expression and said that some people were better off dead. My hands started shaking. Jake, what else did she say? She asked me if I knew what my father's real name was. I told her his name was Robert Morrison, but she said that wasn't his real name. Jake looked at me with confusion. Sarah, why would your mom know anything about my father? I took a deep breath. This was it. This was the moment when everything would change. Jake, I need you to listen to me very carefully. Don't get upset. Don't run away. Just listen. You're scaring me. Your father isn't dead. He's alive, and he'd been looking for my mom for 25 years. Jake stared at me like I had just told him the sky was green. That's impossible. My father died when I was 5. Your father left when you were 5. He changed his name and moved away, but he's been alive this whole time. I reached for his hand, but he pulled away. How do you know this? Because the police told me. They've been investigating my mom's accident, and they found out that your father has been stalking her. Jake stood up from the bench, his face pale. The police? What are you talking about? Jake, your father's real name is Robert Chen. 25 years ago, he was married to my mother. He beat her, hurt her, sent her to the hospital multiple times. She divorced him and moved away to escape from him. No, Jake said, shaking his head. No, that's not possible. My father's name is Robert Morrison. He was a good man who died in a car accident. That's what your mother told you to protect you. But Jake, the police have proof. They have marriage certificates, police reports, everything. Jake was breathing hard now, like he was having a panic attack. This can't be true. This can't be happening. Jake, sit down. Please. If what you're saying is true, then that means... He looked at me with horror. That means my father is the man who hurt your mother. That means I'm the son of the man who terrorized her. It's not your fault, I said quickly. You were just a child. You didn't know. But that's why she wanted to stop our wedding. Not because I was an ex-con, but because I'm his son. Jake, there's more. Your father has been planning to hurt us. He was going to attack our wedding. He's been watching my mom, and he called her the morning of her accident. Jake sank back onto the bench, his head in his hands. Oh, God. Oh, God, this is all my fault. It's not your fault. Yes, it is. If I hadn't fallen in love with you, if I hadn't proposed to you, none of this would have happened. Your mom would be safe, and you would be happy. Jake, listen to me. The police need your help to catch him. Catch him? He's my father. He's a dangerous man who has been planning to hurt people we care about. Jake, he might try to hurt you too. Jake looked at me with tears in his eyes. What do you mean? The police found evidence that he abused you when you were a child. He's the reason you ended up in prison. He's the reason your life has been so hard. I don't remember him hurting me. You were very young. Sometimes children block out memories that are too painful to remember. Jake was quiet for a long moment, staring at the ground. Then he looked at me with a strange expression. Sarah, if all of this is true, then we can never be together. What do you mean? How can you love me, knowing that I'm the son of the man who destroyed your mother's life? How can you look at me and not see him? Because you're not him, Jake. You're nothing like him. I'm a criminal just like he is. You made a mistake when you were young. That doesn't make you a monster. Jake stood up again and started walking away from me. I can't do this, Sarah. I can't put you in danger. Jake, wait. I called after him. Where are you going? I'm going to find him. I'm going to confront him and make him leave you alone. No. I jumped up and ran after him. Jake! That's exactly what he wants. He wants to see you. He wants to hurt you. I don't care. I can't let him hurt you or your mom. Jake, please. The police have a plan. They can protect us. The police? Sarah, how did the police know all of this? I stopped running. I had forgotten that I wasn't supposed to tell Jake about the police involvement yet. I called him when I found out about the accident. Jake looked at me suspiciously. What aren't you telling me? Before I could answer, I heard a voice behind us. Hello, son. We both turned around, and I saw a man standing about 20 feet away. He was tall and thin, with gray hair and cold eyes. He looked like an older version of Jake, but there was something cruel about his face that Jake didn't have. Dad, Jake whispered. I've been looking for you for a long time, Jake, and I've been looking for her mother even longer. Robertson smiled, but it wasn't a nice smile. I have to say, I'm disappointed in you, son. Falling in love with the daughter of the woman who destroyed our family. You destroyed your own family, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. You hurt my mom. You hurt Jake. You're the one who ruined everything. Robertson looked at me with hatred. Your mother was a lying, ungrateful woman who didn't appreciate what she had. I gave her everything, and she threw it all away. You beat her? I shouted. You sent her to the hospital. I disciplined her. There's a difference. Jake stepped in front of me, protecting me from his father. Don't talk to her like that. Oh, now you're protecting her? Just like you protected your mother when she tried to take you away from me. I don't remember my mother. Of course you don't. You were too young to understand that she was trying to poison you against me. Just like this girl's mother tried to poison her against you. Sarah's mother was trying to protect her. From what? From you? From me? We're family, Jake. We're blood. That has to count for something. It doesn't count for anything, Jake said, and I could hear the anger growing in his voice. You left me. You abandoned me. You let me think you were dead. I had to leave. Your mother was going to have me arrested. She was going to take you away from me forever. Good. Maybe if she had succeeded, I wouldn't have ended up in prison. Robert Chen's face darkened. You went to prison because you're weak. Because you let other people influence you instead of listening to your blood. I went to prison because I was hungry and desperate and had no one to help me. You had me. You could have found me if you had tried. I thought you were dead. Well, now you know I'm not. Robertson reached into his jacket and pulled out a gun. And now we could be a family again. I screamed and tried to run, but Robertson pointed the gun at me. Don't move, girl. You and I have some talking to do about your mother. Leave her alone, Jake said, stepping closer to his father. If you want to hurt someone, hurt me, but leave Sarah out of this. I'm not going to hurt anyone if everyone just stays calm and listens to what I have to say. What do you want? I asked, my voice shaking. I want your mother to pay for what she did to me. I want her to admit that she lied about me, that she ruined my life for no reason. She didn't lie about you. The police have reports. They have proof that you hurt her. The police don't know anything. They weren't there. They don't know what really happened. Then tell us, Jake said. Tell us what really happened. Robertson looked at his son with something that might have been love, but was twisted and wrong. Your mother was beautiful, Jake, just like this girl's mother. But she was also stubborn and disobedient. She wouldn't listen to me. She wouldn't do what I told her to do. So you hit her? I corrected her, just like my father corrected me, and his father corrected him. It's how men teach their families to be strong. It's how cowards hurt people who can't fight back, Jake said. Robert Chen's face went red with anger. Don't you dare call me a coward. Then put the gun down and fight me like a man. Jake, no, I said, but it was too late. Robert Chen turned the gun toward Jake. You want to fight me, son? You want to see how strong your old man really is? But before he could pull the trigger, I heard Detective Martinez's voice shouting from somewhere in the trees. Police, drop your weapon. Robertson looked around wildly, realizing that he had been trapped. You called the police? He said to me. I called them because I knew you were dangerous. You stupid girl. You have no idea what you've done. Suddenly, police officers came running from all directions. Robertson was surrounded, but he still had the gun pointed at Jake. Let my son go. Robertson shouted. He's all I have left. I'm not going anywhere with you. Jake said. You're not my father anymore. You haven't been my father since the day you abandoned me. Jake, please. I know I made mistakes, but I love you. You're my blood. Love doesn't hurt people. Love doesn't abandon people. Love doesn't point guns at people. Robertson looked at his son with desperation. If you don't come with me, I'll never see you again. They'll put me in prison forever. Good, Jake said, because the world will be safer without you in it. Robert Chen's face crumpled, and for a moment, he looked like a broken old man instead of a dangerous criminal. I never meant for any of this to happen, he whispered. I just wanted my family back. You never had a family, Jake said. You had people you controlled and people you hurt. That's not the same thing. Robertson looked at the gun in his hand, then at the police officers surrounding him, then at his son standing there with tears on his face. I'm sorry, Jake, he said. I'm sorry for everything. And then he turned the gun on himself. No! Jake shouted, but it was too late. The sound of the gunshot echoed to the park like thunder. Robertson fell to the ground, and Jake ran to him, even though it was too late to save him. I stood there in shock, watching Jake kneel beside his father's body. The police officers were shouting and moving around us, but I couldn't hear them. All I could hear was Jake crying. I'm sorry. Jake kept saying to his father's body, I'm sorry I couldn't save you. I'm sorry I couldn't help you become a better man. I walked over to Jake and put my hand on his shoulder. It's not your fault, I said. None of this was your fault. He was my father, Jake whispered. Even after everything he did, he was still my father. I know, and I'm sorry you had to see this. Jake looked up at me with tears streaming down his face. Sarah, I can't ask you to be with me after this. I can't ask you to love the son of the man who hurt your mother. Jake, listen to me. You are not responsible for what your father did. You are not him. But I am his son. I have his blood. What if I become like him? You won't. You're nothing like him. You're kind and gentle and good. You made mistakes, but you learned from them. You changed. How can you be sure? Because I know you. I've seen your heart, and your heart is nothing like his. Jake stood up and looked at me. What happens now? Now we go to the hospital and see my mom, and we figure out how to move forward from here. Together, I took his hand. If you want to. I want to, he said. But Sarah, I need you to know something. I'm going to need time to process all of this. I'm going to need help dealing with what happened today. I know, and I'll be here to help you. Even though our wedding was canceled, even though everything is different now. Especially because everything is different now. We know the truth about each other. We know the worst things about our pasts. And we're still standing here together. Jake squeezed my hand. I love you, Sarah. I never stopped loving you. I love you, too. As we walked away from the park, I saw Detective Martinez coming toward us. She looked relieved but also sad. Are you both okay? She asked. We will be, I said. Eventually. Sarah, I need to tell you something. We just got word from the hospital. Your mother is awake. She's been asking for you. My heart jumped. She's awake? She's weak, but she's conscious. She wants to see you. I looked at Jake. Will you come with me? Are you sure? After everything that happened? I'm sure. My mom needs to know that you're not your father. She needs to know that you're one of the good ones. Jake smiled for the first time in days. Okay, let's go see your mom. As we walked toward the car, I realized that this was just the beginning. We had a lot of healing to do, a lot of talking to do, and a lot of forgiveness to give and receive. But for the first time in days, I felt hope because the truth was finally out. The secrets were gone, and Jake and I were still together, despite everything that had tried to tear us apart. The question was, would my mom be able to forgive Jake for being the son of the man who had haunted her for 25 years? And would Jake be able to forgive himself for the same thing? I was about to find out. The hospital room was quiet except for the soft beeping of machines. My mom looked so small in the big bed, but her eyes were open and alert. When she saw me walk in, she smiled weakly. "Sarah," she whispered, "my beautiful girl, come here." I rushed to her bedside and took her hand. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I didn't understand what you were trying to do." "Sure," she said softly. "You don't have anything to be sorry for. I'm the one who should apologize. I should have told you the truth from the beginning." I felt tears running down my face. "Mom, I know about Robertson. I know about your first marriage. I know about everything." My mom's eyes filled with fear. Did he hurt you?" "He's gone, Mom. He can't hurt anyone anymore." She closed her eyes with relief. "Thank God. I was so scared he would find you." "Mom, there's someone here who wants to see you. Someone who needs to talk to you." My mom looked confused. "Who?" I turned toward the door, where Jake had been waiting in the hallway. "Come in, Jake." Jake walked slowly into the room, his face pale and nervous. When my mom saw him, her expression changed to one of shock and fear. "No," she whispered. "Sarah, what is he doing here?" "Mom, listen to me." Jake didn't know. He didn't know that Robert Chin was his father. He thought his father was dead. My mom stared at Jake like she was seeing a ghost. "You're his son." "Yes, ma'am," Jake said quietly. "But I'm not him. I would never hurt Sarah or you or anyone else. Your father destroyed my life. He broke my bones, my spirit, my ability to trust people. I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for what he did to you." Jake's voice was shaking. "Mrs. Williams, I love your daughter more than anything in the world. I would die before I let anyone hurt her." My mom looked at him for a long moment, studying his face. "You look like him. You have his eyes." "I know, but I'm not him. I promise you I'm not him." "How can I be sure? How can I know that you won't become like him?" Jake took a step closer to the bed. "Because Sarah loves me, and her love makes me want to be a better man every day. Because I've seen what happens when people hurt the ones they're supposed to protect, and I never want to be that kind of person. Your father said he loved me too. In the beginning. My father was sick, Mrs. Williams. He was broken inside, and he didn't know how to love anyone without hurting them. But I'm not broken. I've made mistakes, but I've learned from them. I've changed." My mom was quiet for a long time. Then she looked at me. "Sarah, are you sure about this? Are you sure you want to be with him, knowing what you know now?" "Yes, Mom. I'm sure. Jake is not his father. He's kind and gentle and good. He spent his whole life trying to overcome the damage his father did to him. And you trust him?" "I trust him with my life." My mom looked back at Jake. "Come closer." Jake moved to stand next to my side of the bed. My mom reached out and took his hand with her free hand. "Jake," she said, "I want you to promise me something. Anything. Promise me that if you ever feel angry, if you ever feel like you want to hurt someone, you'll walk away. You'll get help. You won't let your father's sickness take over your heart. I promise." Jake said, tears running down his face. "I promise I'll never be like him. And promise me that you'll take care of my daughter, that you'll protect her and love her and never take her for granted. I promise. I swear to you, I'll spend the rest of my life making her happy." My mom squeezed both of our hands. "Then I give you my blessing. Both of you." I started crying again, but this time they were tears of joy. "Really, Mom? Really? But I have one condition." "What?" "I want to plan your wedding. The real wedding. The one where we all know the truth about each other, and we choose to be a family anyway." Jake looked at me with hope in his eyes. "Sarah, would you still want to marry me? After everything that's happened?" I looked at this man who had been through so much pain, who had overcome so many obstacles, who had chosen love over revenge when he faced his father. I looked at this man who had been honest with me about his worst mistakes, who had protected me when we were in danger, who had shown me what real love looked like. Yes, I said. Yes, I want to marry you. Not because I'm ignoring your past, but because I love who you become in spite of it. Jake leaned down and kissed me, and it felt like coming home after a long, terrible journey. But I said, pulling away from him, we're going to do this differently this time. What do you mean? No more secrets. No more lies. We're going to tell each other everything, even the hard things, even the things that scare us. Deal, Jake said, and I want to do something else too. What? I want to go to therapy. I want to make sure I deal with everything that happened with my father. I want to make sure I never hurt you the way he hurt your mother. We'll go together, I said. We'll both get help dealing with all of this. My mom smiled. You two are going to be okay. Better than okay. You're going to be happy. How can you be so sure? I asked. Because you've been through the worst thing that could happen to a couple, and you're still choosing each other. Because you're not afraid to do the hard work of healing. And because, she looked at Jake, this young man has proven that he's nothing like his father. Over the next few months, Jake and I did exactly what we had promised. We went to therapy together and separately. We talked about our fears, our hopes, our dreams for the future. Jake worked hard to understand how his father's abandonment had affected him, and I worked to understand how my mom's secrets had affected me. We learned that love isn't just about the good times. It's about choosing to stay together when things get hard. It's about being honest even when the truth is painful. It's about forgiving each other for the mistakes we make and the damage we carry from our past. My mom got stronger every day. She started going to therapy too, to deal with the trauma from her first marriage. She said that facing the truth about Robert Chun had actually helped her heal from wounds she had carried for 25 years. And slowly, Jake and my mom built a relationship based on honesty and mutual respect. She saw that he was truly nothing like his father. He saw that her protective instincts came from love, not cruelty. 6 months after that terrible day in the park, Jake and I got married in a small ceremony in the hospital chapel. My mom was there, walking with a cane, but walking on her own. Jake's friend from work were there. Detective Martinez was there too, because she had become like family to us. As I walked down the aisle toward Jake, I thought about how different this wedding was from the one we had originally planned. That wedding would have been based on lies and secrets. This wedding was based on truth and forgiveness, and the kind of love that can survive anything. When Jake and I said our vows, we promised to always be honest with each other. We promised to face our problems together instead of running away. We promised to break the cycle of pain that had haunted both of our families. And we promised to build a new kind of family. One based on love instead of control. One where children would be protected instead of hurt. One where the truth was valued more than keeping up appearances. After the ceremony, as we were taking pictures, my mom pulled me aside. Sarah, she said, I want you to know how proud I am of you. Proud of me? Why? Because you chose love over fear. Because you saw past Jake's father to see who Jake really is. Because you forgave me for the mistakes I made trying to protect you. Mom, you don't need my forgiveness. You saved my life. Maybe, but I also almost destroyed your happiness. I'm sorry I didn't trust you to make your own decisions. You were scared. You were trying to protect me from someone who had hurt you terribly. I understand that now. My mom hugged me tight. Your father would be so proud of the woman you become. I hope so. I know so. Because you're strong and brave and kind. And you found a man who loves you for exactly who you are. As the sun set on our wedding day, Jake and I stood together looking out at the city where we had fallen in love, where we had almost lost each other, and where we had found our way back to each other. Do you think we'll be okay? Jake asked, do you think we can really have a happy ending after everything that happened? I took his hand and felt the wedding ring on his finger. I think we already have our happy ending. Not because everything is perfect, but because we chose each other. Because we did the hard work of facing the truth. Because we learned that real love isn't about avoiding problems. It's about solving them together. I love you, Mrs. Morrison, Jake said, and then stopped. Wait, should I change my name? I don't want to have the same last name as my father. I thought about it for a moment. Keep it, I said. Make it mean something different. Make it mean love instead of violence. Make it mean healing instead of hurt. You really want to be Mrs. Morrison? I want to be your wife. The name doesn't matter. What matters is the man who gives it to me. Jake kissed me as the stars came out above us. Thank you, he whispered. For what? For seeing who I really am. For loving me in spite of where I came from. For giving me a chance to be the man I always wanted to be. Thank you for the same thing. As we walked back toward our family and friends, I realized that our story wasn't really about a wedding that was canceled. It wasn't really about secrets and lies and family trauma. It was about two people who learned that love is stronger than fear. It was about forgiveness and healing and second chances. It was about choosing to build something beautiful out of the broken pieces of our past. And most importantly, it was about learning that the family you choose can be more powerful than the family you're born into. My mom had been right about one thing. I did deserve better than a man who would lie to me and hide his past from me. But she had been wrong about Jake. Because Jake wasn't that man anymore. He had become someone who would face his worst fears to protect the people he loved. He had become someone who would choose honesty over comfort, love over safety, truth over convenience. And that was exactly the kind of man I want to spend the rest of my life with. Our wedding may have been canceled, but our love story was just beginning. And this time, it was built on a foundation strong enough to last forever.